Welcome to the xAPI cohort. We are already on week 8. Hard to believe we're going to end at week 12, so we just have a few more weeks left. With us today, we have Elizabeth Patience with the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. Now, if you haven't heard, we're calling for proposals for Learning 2024. It's going to be happening this December in Orlando. So, if you're from the northern climes and you want to have some warmth, consider putting in a speaker proposal, or if you just have something to share with us, because we're looking for innovative thinkers and we love for you to join us. There is also Learning and HR Tech Solutions Conference on the docket, and that's happening in April. So don't miss out. There's some xAPI sessions there. You've got things on dashboards. It's a great opportunity to pick up some more xAPI skills, plus a lot of other things. I'll drop the links for these things when I'm done talking. And of course, this is presented by the Learning Guild. And some of you aren't members, but membership is free. And I can't stress how much you can learn from the Guild for free. We have so many different opportunities. We have publications and webinars, and we even publish some of our keynotes that are available to our members from our face-to-face conferences. You also get discounts on our face-to-face conferences and on our online event conference packages. So if you're not a member, membership is free. I will encourage you to do that. And then in this session, after we hear from Elizabeth, I would like anyone who would like to give me an update on their team to ping me. And then at the end of the session, we'll bring you up onto the stage and you can tell us some of the updates that your team had from last week. And with that, I am going to stop presenting and turn things over to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, when you're ready, go ahead and start sharing.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, so I'm going to jump in here, share my screen, and we are good, I think, I hope. So I'm going to be presenting our first case study. So I'm Elizabeth, Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. You'll hear me say ANTHC because that's our norm. We don't always say it all the way out. But I'm presenting my sort of journey from I don't know anything about xAPI to a dashboard and a custom dashboard that we showed our clients and they love it and they want more dashboards. So this is a session for our beginners. If you are one of those aficionados that's been presenting or wants to push the envelope on what more you can do with xAPI, you may want to kind of come back in a few minutes when I'm done to see the project updates, because this is for the beginners, and I'm talking about beginners who are using Storyline and want to get some information about their learners. So I'll talk about the lessons that I learned, the obstacles I got, and some of the resources that I've bookmarked that have been helpful as I go through. I'm going to be going through my timeline sort of in a chutes and ladders motif. So if you've ever played the game, ladders help you skip some steps. Chutes, I don't know why they don't call it slides, but they're slides and they send you back. So they're things that demotivated me, things that got me stuck, issues that I had that I didn't know how to move forward, put xAPI on pause. Motivators, resources I found, people that help me out, I want to make sure you know who they are. So those are my ladders. So going through my timeline, I'll start with summer of 2022. I'm a brand new instructional designer. I was in corporate for a long time, sort of Six Sigma quality management role. After that, I went into higher ed for a decade or so. And, there the buzzword is assessment. How are you making sure that the students are learning what you want them to learn? So that's sort of the mindset that I came into instructional design with. And in my interviews and in my, first few weeks, it's like, what are we doing to measure our learnings? And I got crickets. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my thing. I'm going to come in and I'm going to rock the world, and I'm going to develop this skill set. So what's xAPI again? So I start off, but right from the start, I'm getting shoots. And these are things that just sort of said, this is not going to work. So the first thing was no demand. Our clients are doctors, nurses, therapists, and dentists. They're professionals that are juggling private practice and instruction and curriculum development and storyboards. And they're not going to the conferences that we're going to. They're not hearing from Megan Torrance. They're not reading her book. They're not learning about Kirkpatrick and levels of evaluation. So they're not pushing for this. If this is going to be pushed, it's going to be coming from me. We also have multiple LMSs that we're navigating, and depending on the LMS, we have no access to limited access to get reports, to ask for new things, to get data, much less, test things out or change those reports. So that was made clear at the beginning. Also, we are Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. We are half community health services, which does all kinds of things that are really unique and special for Alaska. And then the other half of our organization is a hospital in Anchorage. So PHI is personal health information is a reality for us. And IT runs the world. And their motto, I think they have a flag that says, just say no. They're actually physically located, as I understand it, next to the morgue of the hospital. So they put up every barrier to trying anything new and just say no. Anything that might be risky is a no. So I knew that was going to be a big hurdle. And then I also didn't know where to start. I could find information easily about actor and verb and object, but how do you put that information? Where do you put it? How does it come out? Okay, you're saying coding or no coding. Where does the code go? I couldn't get my arms around that. I couldn't find what I needed for that. So I'm a new ID. I got lots going on, lots to learn. I put xAPI on pause. Summer of 22, it's on pause. Fall of 22, it's on pause. And then I get my first ladder. And that is in the form of DevLearn. So I go to DevLearn 2022. I stumble into a session that Sarah Mercier, I think she presented here 2 weeks ago. She did a wonderful presentation about a case study. I believe it was hearing aids. And she walked through, and I got to see sort of where the statements go and how it works a little bit. And I was intrigued. But what most hooked me was she said, you don't need your LMS to get pretty far with this. You don't need your IT department. You can do this under the radar. And because it's DevLearn and the magic of DevLearn, immediately after that, there's a brownie break. And in front of me in the brownie line is Torrance Learning, someone from Torrance Learning. I want to say Matt, but I just sort of pushed him over to the side and I said, is this true? I can do this. I can go under the radar. I don't have to get IT. I don't have to get the LMS. And he's like, yeah, you can do it. So I'm golden. And now I'm remotivated. I'm taking off. I'm gonna learn xAPI. So I come back and I find this course on LinkedIn Learning. It's Anthony Altieri. He does a nice job. He introduces you to veracity, which Sarah had mentioned. He does a nice job kind of laying out the concepts, but he's a coding solution. This is back from December 2018. He's not necessarily specific to Articulate, but it's a good foundation of information. And I got my LRS set up in Veracity, my free LRS set up in Veracity, and I'm ready to start cooking with gas, right? It's good. so then I hit my next ladder, and that's the cohort. So now we're in the spring of 2023. A year ago, I'm in this place where we all are today. And I started attending the speakers, and I'm like, what's going on? These people are doing amazing things. I want to do them, but I'm not getting how to do them. I'm getting why to do them, why to learn xAPI, but not how. But then one of my Slack pings goes off, and some wonderful woman says, hey, does anybody want to do a beginner project in Articulate with xAPI? So I said, sure. And we joined it. And what was great about doing things in cohort, and you know this if you've ever done a project in cohort, is you're kind of wanting to show results every week. You're motivated to keep learning. You have experts that are sort of lurking out there. And if you get stuck, they kind of just show up and appear and answer your questions. So they fixed coding, et cetera. They were great. We set a really low bar. We're going to send statements from Storyline to Veracity. And it was good. Now, I did go down one small shoot, and I'm just going to mention this shoot. It's a small shoot. So this was our fifth shoot, and it was something called, we were all beginners. So it's like, how do we start? How do we do this? How do we send statements from Storyline to Articulate? So we found this thing called the Full Guide to xAPI and Storyline, and it's a great set of videos, and he explains everything. Takes you through the coding, and if you follow along, you can start coding to get your JavaScript and your JSON and whatever, so that you can add a file to your zip file when you publish, and you will get statements in Veracity. And it's a good set of videos. It's a good foundation so that later on, when you want to adjust some things, you have an idea, a better idea of how to adjust things. But for me at the time, I felt like this was a little bit of a waste, because at this time, Articulate upgraded their functionality in xAPI. So now there were triggers, and they're kind of saying they're non-code. I would say they're low code, because you still need to do some adjustment to the code, but you're just adjusting the code. You're not writing the full thing. There's no need for that wrapper extra file stuff. If you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. You don't need to do that stuff anymore. And what I just want to say about noting the date here is, if you're going out there and you're trying to find xAPI information for Articulate, make sure you're checking to see if it was pre the triggers or post the triggers, because you'll find good information pre the triggers, but it's not going to show you the triggers. And there's an easier way, and it might be intimidating if you get sent if you go down the wrong rabbit hole. So that was a big boost. But then cohort ended. And this was what I call my sixth shoot, because the cohort ended, and this is what we got. So we were able to send statements from a Storyline to Veracity. Woohoo! Yes, big celebration. We were so excited. But this is what we had then. And when you look at this, it's a lot of information, and there's these random actors, and there's numbers, and I'm seeing people come in and out, but I'm not able to track them all the way through the course. I'll talk about the actor problem in a minute. And I have all these statements. So am I supposed to download this to Excel and then count them? Or what am I learning from this? What's the information? This is data. It's not information. And the cohort's over now. So there's no more experts on hand. There's no more push for that weekly learning and diving into what do I do next. So I go into another pause. And here's where I spent spring 2023, so after the cohort, and then in summer 23, I'm working on other stuff, learning other things. I'm not completely stalled. I'm just pausing xAPI. But then I get my big break. So fall of 2023, we get a new client, the dentists. So these are dental health aid. We have a dental health aid program. They are trained to provide basic dental health care in Alaska villages. And they hadn't been working with us. We've been working with the other health aid programs, but not the dentists, mostly because most of their courses need to be on site. They're working with big, expensive equipment, et cetera. So they are mostly in-person classes, but their accrediting body was sort of nudging them in a sort of sharp elbow way to do more about instructor calibration. So how do we know that the instructors are singing off the same song sheet? We have instructors, they will fly to the village where the clinic is, they'll teach for a week, and then they'll come back to Anchorage or wherever they live, do other stuff, and a new instructor is with the students, and you get all that, like, Professor Rara said I should do it this way. And, so how do you kind of clean that up a little bit? And they had been doing it in meetings that they had twice a year, but it's hard to get everyone to the meeting. It's hard to document for the accrediting body. We had a meeting and we discussed it. And it's also like, imagine that conversation. And I'll show you an example of a difficult conversation that would be difficult to have without data. So this new client was just screaming to me in our first meeting, xAPI, 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 xAPI. They're also a small group. There's 12 instructors. So we were going to be able to do some really good testing because we weren't going to hit our limit on veracity. We were going to be able to trace through. We would know when this doctor went through, so we'd be able to trace it through and have that kind of confirmation on the back end. So great xAPI sandbox. So that really motivated us. And that was September of 2023. Now we get to fall 2023. And where are we? We're back at DevLearn. But this time, now that I know I'm going to have this big xAPI project, I sign up for the xAPI Accelerator program with Jeff Batt. And he calls himself Batman. So he gets that. He gets to do that. So I'm respecting the Batman. And he does the 2-day pre-conference xAPI Accelerator program. And I can't tell you, that didn't come at a better time. I'm highly motivated. And he's doing soup to nuts, but I have a little bit of the soup already prepared. So I know what I'm missing and I can tap into that. I can dive deeper and get my questions answered. And he takes us all the way from, I don't know what xAPI is, to here's a custom dashboard in your branding colors. Here's your widgets. Here's how to make it look nice and work and show the client what they want to see for free. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it for free. So I cannot more highly recommend the xAPI Accelerator program. Now, it's offered, as far as I know, it's offered once a year at DevLearn. But he also has a set of videos in his Udemy course that takes you through, I don't know if it's called Fundamentals of xAPI or xAPI Foundations or what he's calling it, but Udemy, Jeff Batt, xAPI, you will find it. And he says he has all his videos there. Some of the videos he still needs to update. He's a really super busy guy. If you've ever been one of his sessions, it's like, I'm doing this and 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 I'm doing this. So busy guy. But he updates his videos when he can. And usually about once a week, you'll see a new video on learningdojo.ninja. If you decide never to see xAPI again, I still recommend learningdojo.ninja because he really takes you through a lot of great ID stuff, but he's updating that a lot on his xAPI. So if you want recent xAPI information, I'd check out learningdojo.ninja. So that was a big win. The other great thing that he showed us was Squirm Cloud. And I'd heard Squirm Cloud was good. It's from Stacey. I think they presented the first week of this cohort. But I was like, Squirm Cloud's not for me because I'm doing xAPI. But actually, Squirm Cloud is a sort of an LMS. I'm going to call it a free LMS. And you can really simply, couple clicks, upload your zip file into that. And you can test and test and test, and something didn't work, you can upload it again and test it again. And you can send out a link to your colleagues and they can test with you. And it is a great practice environment. I would not have done 10% of the tests I did if I've had to go through my LMS administrator, or if I'd had to upload the course even through our LMS, because there's this huge checklist of things settings I've got to set, and it's just a pain to go through the real LMS. I'm not saying SquirmCloud's not a real LMS. It's just a great practice environment. And there's other great resources that they have. So just definitely check out SquirmCloud. And then I'm starting to work on my dashboard. And I have a lot of questions about, and I'm running into little technical things. And that's where I met Jono. So this is my 8th ladder, if you're keeping track. And Jono is with Veracity. And he does this little YouTube channel. And it is great because he not only talks about Veracity, but he also talks about xAPI in general and how to set up coding for like questions. Like, how do you code for a multiple choice question? How do you code when you have multiple answers in your multiple choice question, etc. So he takes you through all that. He tells you a lot about data hierarchy and how to do the widgets in the dashboard, etc. So really a great resource. Again, we're free. They're usually like 5 minutes, the videos. He's really nicely done. But then it all comes crashing down. This was my biggest, longest shoot. So I'm just going to set the scene for you. We are in my course is due to the client December 4th, which was a Monday. December 1st is a Friday on which I have been summoned for jury duty. So I got to get the course to the LMS administrator, to the real LMS, to be uploaded. Do that on Tuesday before it's due. Completely crashes. So does not load. And she calls me. I'm like, no, you're doing it wrong, because it works perfectly in SquirmCloud. No, you're doing it wrong. And no, it wasn't her doing it wrong. She knows what she's doing. It was crashing. And it was crashing because of the actor code. So let me explain the actor code and why the course was crashing. So back up here for a second. There are, as far as I know, and I would welcome in the chat if I'm saying this wrong, if I'm missing something big, I would love another solution. But this is what I understand, the 4 options currently available for actor code. So this is when you want to know the actor, who did this thing, who completed the task, who watched the video, etc. So your first option, and the first 2 options, static and random, are out of the box, inarticulate. You pick them from a drop down and it's done. So static, as far as I understand it, every line of your statements is going to have the same actor name. If you want it to be John Smith, you can make it John Smith. But even if Molly Smith goes into your course and does something, it's going to say John Smith, as far as I understand it. So I'm not sure how useful that is to you, because if you have 10 people go in and complete the course, it's still going to just say John Smith completed the course 10 times. So I don't know how helpful that is. The next option is random. I showed you that. It sets up a random number. And it's setting up a unique actor. But for one of our clients, they do a mini storyline interaction, and then they jump over and do a YouTube video, and then they jump over and do an assignment, and then they might do another storyline interaction. And in the course of a full course, they might do 10 or 12 interactions at least. And each one of those is going to have a new random number assigned to that client. So you're not able, as I understand it, you're not able to trace the student going through the course, if that makes sense. So you're kind of getting stuck, and it's a new student with each interaction. So I'm not sure how useful that is. And in the case of like the dentist that I had, they wanted to know who they needed to show. Our 12 instructors completed the course. This just wasn't one guy, Thomas, going through and completing the test every time. We had to show all the different dentists. So this wouldn't have really been helpful for them. The thing I see most often, the workaround that I see most often is, you know how when you have the option when like you want to make your course more personalized, you can say at the beginning of your storyline, you can say, "Hey, what's your name?" and type in your name, and people type in their name, and then the next page it says, you type in Barbara, and the next page it says, "Hi, Barbara. Great job, Barbara. You passed the test, Barbara." And it's all variable based, and there's a fair amount of coding out there available that will show you how to do this. I know Jeff Batt has a video on how to do this. And it's the easiest for the ID because the coding's available. It's not specific to an LMS. You can use it anywhere. We kind of already know, probably, if you're more comfortable with Articulate, this is kind of fairly easy to activate. But here's some problems. This is why I do not like this solution. And I'm not going to be popular for saying this, but this is what my problems are. One is, I taught college for too long, and college students love nothing better than to be given a blank text field and said, "Tell me your name." And they always type in, there's always one or two that's typing in banana. And so for the rest of the course, like, "Hi, banana, great job, banana." And they think that's hilarious. So, if you don't have the banana problem, you have people entering their first name, you have Charles, Charlie, Chuck, which one are they going to choose? You're kind of going over. So you need their email to really make it legit. To get that unique identifier, you need their email. Raise your hand, put it in the chat if you love a random person asking you for your email and not knowing what they're going to do with it, if you're going to get spammed, why they need it. You're just asked, "What's your email?" Nobody loves that. So you've got them on suspicion. You might get them dropping out if they can. If the course isn't required, this might be a deal breaker. So I don't like that solution. Also, here's my biggest problem. We're asking them to do something extra. So in the case of the dentist, they're traveling to the village, they've got their private practice, they've got all this stuff going on, and now they need to do a course. They need a separate username and login to get into that course. They've received emails that said, "Here's your username, here's your login." Hopefully they didn't mistake L's for ones and dashes for underscores and uppercase for lowercase, and they got it right on the first shot, right? They go into the LMS, entering that information. Let's say it works the first time. Now the LMS says, "Hi, John, welcome. Let's start your course." So it's, okay, I'm in the right place. They click start the course, and it says, "What's your name?" Wait a minute. I just got an email from you. I've entered that email into the system. You've acknowledged that I'm that person, and now I've got to enter my name again. Also, remember the problem with random where you would have to re-enter it? Unless I'm mistaken, and I would love clarification in the chat, if I have multiple storylines in the same course, or if the student is taking multiple courses with me in a short time period, they're still going to have to enter their name multiple times for me to get that actor statement to go. So I'm either I'm missing something about why that's attractive to people, or I don't think it's attractive. So what I liked was Jeff Batt showed us you can put code in to storyline. It's, cut and paste code, not code. And you cut and paste it in, and it pulls automatically the username and hopefully the email from the LMS. Student doesn't even have to do anything. They don't have to enter anything. It's just done for them. Fabulous, right? Here's the deal. It's unique to the LMS. So if there's 2,000 LMSs, there may be 1,000 different ways to enter this code. And the way that the processing works in the LMS, the actor code goes in first for some reason. So that actor code, if there's an error in the actor code, the course doesn't load. It's not just an error message. It's not just that it'll revert to static and you'll get junk actor names. The course won't load. So you got to get the course perfect. I have not, and trust me, on that Thursday night, I was desperate because I had tried everything. I was asking my LMS, what's the actor code that I need for the LMS? They didn't understand the question. They kept telling me, like, go to Veracity. And I'm like, it's not a Veracity issue because it's going to Veracity. It's not going in the LMS. They're telling me, go to Articulate. I'm like, it's not an Articulate issue because it's the LMS. So I'm looking everywhere online. I find a video that Jeff Batt did that shows me the code for Cornerstone. I'm not using Cornerstone. I'm stuck. So I'm just stuck. And I if I were to pray to the xAPI gods and ask for something, it would be either a consensus on what this code is, a repository that tells me where to find the code, some sort of convening of LMSs to be able to publish this, or maybe even get consensus on this is the code. I don't know, some solution to this. If, again, please put in the chat if I'm missing something, but it caused like, your course isn't going to load. You're going to, my administrator's like, hey, just take out your xAPI code, which was, we'd already shown the course to the client. It was a big deal. So we were not excited about that. And I was trying everything. Finally, 5 p.m. on Thursday before jury duty, I take a last ditch effort. Veracity Help Desk had been helpful to me before. Let me just put in a ticket. Do you know where I can find the code? And this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person, I know his name, but I'm not going to throw him under a bus of that. But he answered me right away, and he's like, send me your code, send me the error message. Let's see what we can do. And he, we went back and forth a bunch. It was 9:00 at night, his time, when I first contacted him. He stayed with me for a little while, but then he's like, I got to go to bed. And we still didn't have a solution. And I had jury duty. So I went to jury duty. Luckily, it was just to fill out a questionnaire for a later trial. I was done at 12, 3-hour questionnaire. And I got the questionnaire done and ran back, and I talked to him, and he fixed my code. And he saved the day. I did not need to spend the whole weekend redrafting my course, retesting my course. He fixed it. They are amazing. Really top-notch service. And we got a dashboard. So we had the dashboard for the client. Let me just show you one example from the dashboard. And we had the instructors watch 2 student videos. One student video showed a student doing everything right. The other student video had him doing some things intentionally wrong. He was excluding information that should be included in his presentation. And let's see how we then asked the instructors, how'd the student do? And the student that got everything right, 4s and 5s. Why she got 4s when she included everything she was supposed to? Not sure. That's a good conversation to have. But the better conversation was the student who did everything right. He got 5s. And he got all the way across. So this is why you do instructor calibration, right? Because everybody, maybe it was good for that student. And maybe it was, they weren't really paying attention, or maybe it was something, but they could then have a conversation. And can you imagine having the conversation? Hey, we're not grading the same, without data, in one ear and out the other. It's not me that's grading wrong. It's them that's grading wrong, right? This shows us, hey, you know what you graded that student. Why are we in disagreement? So it really started a robust conversation. The bonus with the dashboard was a few weeks later, a whole different department, epidemiology, they get just ridiculous grants of ridiculous amounts. And one of the grantors was asking them, what efforts does ANTHC as a whole, not just epidemiology, but as a whole, do for quality, continuous improvement? What efforts are you doing? That email went out to everybody, and the dashboard came up as an example that went into, hey, grantor, here's something we're doing for quality control. So that was a bonus win, not really for our client, but for the organization as a whole. So we were really pleased with that. So where do we go from here? We have 4 more pilot courses going with the dentists. That will help us figure out, we're throwing in the kitchen sink, the dishwasher, the garbage disposal, we're putting everything in there so that we can see what's useful, what's useless, where do we want to go, what kind of information do we want. Because they're doing 4 courses at one time, we may run into needing an LRS upgrade from the free version. We're looking at that right now. Based on those 2 pieces of information, we can then do our data strategy. And you've heard presentations about that, so I won't go into that, but that's our next big step after the LRS upgrade. And once we have the data strategy, now we can go, and we know what's useful and we have the capacity to do it, we can go into our other clients and say, don't you want to know what's going on in your courses? And we'll have the capacity to offer that to more of our clients. So that's where we're headed next. And are there questions? Or are there anything? If you want, I'm also on LinkedIn, and I can go to that lounge after if anybody has questions, but I'd love to chat. I love talking about xAPI. So that's it.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for that. And I did have one question come up. They were wondering what LMS you were using.
Okay, so I debated, let me see how I can get out of this. Okay, there we go. I was debating sharing that because it was one help desk guy who was not helpful. And the solution that we came up with would not work for other classes. The only reason it worked for us was because we know the names of our 12 students. So we know there's no repeats. If you have repeats, the code that we worked out would not work. But the LMS is, should I say it? So they're great otherwise. Otherwise, they're great. We're still going to push them. We might go with their LRS, and their LRS is more robust. And we weren't talking to their LRS people. We were talking to their LMS people, and they shouldn't have to know LRS stuff, but it's learning pool.
So. Okay. Thank you for that.
Wrong
yeah.
answer.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has there's different pros and cons to everything. So you can't find that unicorn where everything goes perfectly.
Right.
Does anyone have any other questions or would like to give a team update? Let's see here. Yeah. So an interesting comment. I think if you see Cecilia's comment there, most of the time we hear that xAPI is for us to know about our students, but it looks like it's going to tell us a lot about ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting comment. And then, of course, we do have a team rising to the challenge. And as they were stating here in chat, even if you put a storyline block in there, it's not in the LMS. You have to use Review 360. So as they're finding that out, trying to use xAPI with Articulate's Rise. All right. Well, I am not seeing any other questions here. I just want to point, we do have that paper icon to the left of the chat box there. And Elizabeth has uploaded a resource for you there. And you'll be able to look at that for this session. All right. Well, we just have a few more weeks left for the xAPI cohort, and we're heading into the home stretch. Doesn't mean you can't join. Still not too late to join the cohort. You can still join the cohort, join any of the teams, read through the Slack channel communications. People have posted their recordings of meetings they've had. There's all kinds of documents. So even if you're like, hey, I'm real late to the party, don't worry about it. You can get caught up. And of course, if you have a project in mind, hey, go ahead. Join the xAPI cohort, see if you can do that project and get some feedback from some other people. All right. With that, I am not seeing any questions come in, and we are just about out of time. So I want to thank Elizabeth for sharing her journey with us. That was I really like the chutes and ladders motif. That was really clever. I really enjoyed that. And we will see you next week for week 9. And have a good rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.